Hey gang, welcome back. It is I, Dr. Bosky, and I thought I'd share with you how I wound up implementing the race mode in Interstellar Sentinel. So you'll see here, I've got these little power-ups, and the power-ups have numbers to suggest how fast things are going to go. So there's a 7. So they're almost like gears on a race car. Now what these wind up controlling is they can control the speed of which the camera moves, and that becomes the aspect of the race. So to the point where, for instance, you get way down to the bottom end of this track. There we go. And I have a couple, like I finished the race strong, right? So is it here? Oh man, this is a longer race level than I remember. Oh, come on. Come on. All right, cool. To the point where we have a 30. This is just nuts. Ready? Boosh, here we go. 30. And you'll notice if you die, let me see here. Come on, die. I might need to, hang on a second. Here, I'll just do this temporarily because it's important to see this. We'll go to the player, 1 HP. All right, cool. So if you're zooming like we are, huzzah, zoomies. Boosh, if you die, then the camera also resets. That way you don't just constantly be in the snowball of dying and then not being out of control. So it's a nice little balance there. So, and that's pretty much the core of the race mode. So how do we do this? All right. So, let me take a look here. So I built it, but we have to look. All right. So, let's make a copy of this real quick. Don't save. Get rid of that. All right, cool. So we have a couple elements here. You, of course, do not need to implement this in the same way. This is just to show you how I wound up doing it. Okay, so one is we have an enemy type that we made look like a power-up. So S for speed in this particular case. And so this particular enemy type then has the collision set to normal. There's no waves to it. And then on the gameplay side, I added score because I wanted every time that you killed this fake enemy that you would get more and more score, because at the end of the day, scoring is the metric in addition to time to get players to understand how much better they're doing, right? So kind of very Shmup trope. So here we set the collision with the player to 0 because we don't want these to damage the player, but that means we can use the trigger condition of when the enemy is killed to do our logic. And then I think, and then everything else is just to your own taste. So items and stuff like that. Nothing special in any of these other places. And then we have basically a gameplay trigger here, and the trigger is set to switch mode. And then it's set to connected entity state is all alive. So, which then, because it's in switch mode, we have here, we have some text, and the text here is also get players to kind of understand how much faster they're going to go when they see it. Maybe they understand it, maybe they don't. People don't really read, so. But as you can see, I had this kind of you can see what this looks like here, and you've got these numbers, right? And so when you run over or you collect the fake power up, it turns off the text. So we set the text to switch mode. We made it actually text. We manually centered it so it was easy to copy and paste these around our level. And then here, which is world position. And then I think everything else, we left a little bit of fades on there, totally fine in that case. And then we set the duration in our case to 99 seconds. So, which is plenty of time when get jiggy with it. Plenty of time for once the power up wakes up, and then as it progresses through, as the camera progresses through, but as the current camera progresses through the world. You could, of course, set it up differently as well. So that's what that is there. And then we have another trigger condition. This trigger condition is also set to switch mode, and this one is connected entity state is all dead. And that gives us the ability to use the camera effects scripting object. And here we leave it in terms of stay activated. and we modify the camera speed. In this case, we set it to 5. We set the transition to be 0.5. So it transitions pretty quickly. And that is pretty much it. So now the other big piece of the core logic is we have... Oh, it's a long day. I'm just getting off the work and having the rounds. All right, so let me find it real quick. Where did I put it? In our late race logic, music randomizer, race logic. All right, cool. What did we set with this? Oh yeah, that's just us setting. We use some enemies and we're turning off their attacks there. And okay. And I think this is it. Is this it? And then, yeah, okay, cool. So then we have a trigger condition here, and this trigger condition is also set to switch mode, meaning that it can trigger more than once. And then this one is set to player goes in the zone, and then we made the zone area 500 and the height 50. And if you take a look at how much this covers, this basically covers the whole world. And so you can see also the frame rate gets a little chunky here, but you can see the volume indicator, the yellow spot. So you can see here that as we progress through the world, that there's no place where the player gets out of this thing. And so what happens, which is really, really cool, is when the player dies, and this is great that this works this way, because you can use this for other types of logic that you want to have across your whole world, like a no miss condition or a no death condition. So when the player dies, they actually leave the trigger volume zone, which is player goes into the zone, and that triggers then this switch, and the switch then goes to the camera. And then that resets the camera speed back to that slow speed and kind of helps with that racing aspect, right? So, and then the cool thing is when the player respawns, they re-enter the trigger zone. And so that then is fine that you get 2 triggers, because the next time you pick up a power up, you're going to, in general, go faster. In this case, it's like a speed of 5, but you can see here that we have speeds up to 8 and bigger and 30, etc. So then that gives us that whole piece of functionality. I think that's it. It actually wasn't super difficult. A couple caveats, right? Like, you're not moving the player faster through the world. The player now is only responding to the camera moving faster, but it kind of gives you the feeling of racing because you're going faster. Subsequent pickups build up that speed, which is really cool. And then of course you have the risk reward. If you die, then you go slower. And so we actually have set also by a certain point in the level, if you reach it, then we give you some bonus speed and things like that. But this is kind of the core aspect of the race logic. So this is all pre-variable system, so we'll see what that looks like in the next the next months to come with the new version of the engine, but we'll do new tutorials for that. All right, if you have any questions, put them down below. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you all next time.